All right, buckle up because we're diving deep into this treasure trove of sources you've gathered on living well, and I don't just mean longer, but better.
We're talking health advice, a sprinkle of Nietzsche, even some Swimrun thrown in for good measure.
You ready to see how this all connects? Because it's going to be a fascinating ride.
Absolutely. It's like you're craving a life with both mileage and meaning, which brings us to this growth equation from the Elegant Lines pitch deck. Have you had a chance to look at this one?
Oh, absolutely. It's fascinating stuff. They're all about cutting through the noise with these 7 core habits.
Right. It's not about chasing the latest fads.
Exactly. Just solid science-backed principles for a healthier, happier life. And the first one, it might surprise you, is simply moving.
It's so easy to overthink it, right? You
Mm.
imagine marathons, these grand feats of athleticism. But honestly, even a brisk walk can be transformative.
I love that. It's like they say the best workout is the one you'll actually do. Right?
Exactly. And the
Uh,
science backs it up. Even a little bit of movement consistently does wonders for your body and mind.
Speaking of things we all wish we did more of, sleep.
Oh, tell me about it. Those 7+ hours, they can feel like a luxury sometimes.
Right. They do get that life happens kids, deadlines, that late night scroll hole.
It's so easy to get sucked in.
Totally. But their advice, and I appreciate this, is to not stress the occasional bad night. Just try to prioritize sleep as much as possible.
Makes sense. You can only run on fumes for so long, right?
Exactly. Now, on to another big one, food. That's always a hot topic.
It really is, and they don't sugarcoat it. The Elegant Lines folks acknowledge that resisting those tempting processed foods, well, it can be a real struggle.
Especially with all the marketing wizardry out there designed to make us crave that stuff.
It's true. But they're really advocating for making conscious choices, the kind that support your long-term health and well-being.
And they even offer a simple framework, right? That meal building formula. Lean protein, whole carbs, and veggies.
It's a great starting point. I
Okay.
like that they emphasize finding what works for you, because everyone's different.
It's not a one-size-fits-all situation. Now let's talk about another aspect of finding what works. Alcohol.
Here's where they get very real very quickly. They talk about the ideal, 3 drinks or less per week for optimal well-being.
Which, let's be honest, that can be a tough one for some folks.
Absolutely. But they also acknowledge that for those with a history of substance use disorders, it's about finding the support to abstain completely. And that's powerful.
It's refreshing to hear that kind of sensitivity. They're not just preaching from a mountaintop. They also suggest something I find really interesting, reframing our relationship with alcohol.
Saving it for special occasions instead of making it a regular habit. It's about being mindful.
Right, exactly. Powerful stuff. And speaking of powerful habits, let's clear the air on this one. Nicotine.
They don't mince words, and they shouldn't. The research is crystal clear on just how harmful it is.
No two ways about it. But they do offer a message I find incredibly empowering. The best day to start quitting is today.
It's about taking that first step, no matter how small.
Absolutely. Now, onto a habit I'm personally fascinated by, building community. Did you know loneliness can be as bad for you as smoking?
It's true, and they really hammer home that point with this example.
Mm.
Imagine 2 people, same age, same health history. One is a heavy smoker, the other is chronically lonely.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Where are you going with this?
Studies show their risk of premature death is scarily similar.
Wow. That's a powerful illustration of just how vital connection is.
It's essential. They're really urging us to prioritize those genuine bonds, reminding us that people with strong social ties tend to live longer, healthier, and happier lives.
It's like that saying, happiness is best shared. But it's more than that. It's about our well-being on a fundamental level.
Absolutely. There's just no substitute for that human connection. Now, ready for a habit that's good for both the body and the mind.
Bring it on. I'm always up for expanding my mental horizons.
This one's about staying intellectually engaged throughout your life.
So reading, learning new things, challenging our assumptions.
Exactly. And you don't need to become a scholar. Think of it as keeping that curiosity alive. Reading, having great conversations, being open to new ideas. It all counts.
So it's like a mental workout, keeping our minds flexible and engaged.
Exactly. This helps keep your mind sharp and might even help in those later years.
I like the sound of that. Okay, so we've got these 7 habits, a roadmap to a longer, healthier life. But how does this tie into, say, Nietzsche?
Oh, buckle up, because this is where things get really interesting.
It's like we've laid the groundwork for a good life with those 7 habits. The foundation is there.
Solid ground to build on.
Exactly. But now we're adding the architecture, the why behind it all, and that's where our friend Nietzsche enters the picture. He's all about this idea of striving for more, becoming something beyond just our everyday selves.
He calls it the Übermensch. You've probably heard it translated as Superman or Overman, but
Hold your horses. It's not about capes and superpowers, is it?
not quite. It's about pushing past those self-imposed limits, reaching for a life of greater meaning and fulfillment.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but I've got to admit, Nietzsche can be a bit, well, dense sometimes. How does he suggest we even begin this journey of becoming the overman? Where do we start?
He lays it out as a transformation, a journey with 3 distinct stages. He calls them the metamorphoses of the spirit.
Metamorphoses. Okay, I'm listening.
I get this, they're represented by a camel, a lion, and a child.
A camel, a lion, and a child. All right, I'm not going to lie, that sounds a little out there, even for a philosophy deep dive. So break it down for me. What's the deal with these animal metaphor?
Okay, think of it like this. The camel, that beast of burden, represents the first stage. This is us, in our everyday lives, carrying the weight of expectations, traditions, all those shoulds and musts we've internalized from society.
It's like that pressure to climb the corporate ladder, even if you feel like you're climbing the wrong ladder, or buy a house just because that's what everyone else is doing, even if it doesn't feel quite right for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this connects so well to the world of endurance sports. That du chameau au lion à l'enfance source you shared.
Yeah, it's a fascinating take on how these stages play out in the realm of athletics.
Right. Those marathon runners, they're disciplined, they push themselves, but it's often within a very structured framework. The rules of the race, the pursuit of a personal best. They're carrying the weight of expectations, just like that camel.
So they're playing by the rules, putting in the work, but maybe not questioning if those rules are leading them towards a life that truly resonates with their own values.
Now you're getting it. They haven't quite reached that lion stage yet.
And the lion, that's all about...
Oh,
is it? I will, exactly. This is where the spirit of rebellion emerges, shaking off those burdens we've been carrying and asserting our own desires.
it's that moment you finally muster the courage to quit that soul-crushing job, or to speak your truth, even if it ruffles some feathers.
Right. And in endurance sports, this is where the triathlete comes in. They're conquering not just one element like the runner, but 3: swimming, cycling, and running. They're pushing boundaries, testing their limits, imposing their will on the environment. Yeah, there's a certain fierceness to the triathlete, a refusal to be confined by convention. They're challenging the status quo, much like the lion roaring in the face of adversity.
But even with that intensity, they're still operating within a framework, albeit one they've chosen. And this brings us to the final and perhaps most intriguing stage, the child.
Okay, the child. This is where my curiosity is really piqued. How does a child represent the pinnacle of Nietzsche's philosophy? It seems counterintuitive.
It does, doesn't it? But Nietzsche saw in the child a sense of pure, uninhibited creativity, this joyful acceptance of the world in all its messy glory.
They haven't yet been fully molded by those societal expectations we were talking about.
Exactly. They're free to explore, to play, to say yes to life with open arms. And you know what? This is where Swimrun comes splashing into the picture.
Because it's not your typical endurance sport. It's about navigating this unpredictable terrain, constantly adapting to whatever the course throws your way.
Exactly. It's less about conquering nature and more about harmonizing with it. Moving fluidly between those two elements, swimming and running, just as life requires us to adapt to its twists and turns.
It's almost like a metaphor for life itself. Those unexpected detours, those moments when you have to kind of pivot and find a new path forward.
It's that rugged flexibility they talk about in that Le Swimrun, École de la flexibilité robuste source. Remember that one?
Oh, absolutely. It's a powerful concept.
It really is. They said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that Swimrun celebrates the path to one's full potential, made of tight turns and arduous climbs to overcome through mutual support, perseverance, and constant adaptation.
And it strikes me that this rugged flexibility, it's not just physical, right? It's mental and emotional too. It's about being adaptable, resourceful, and even finding a sense of playfulness in those unexpected challenges.
Precisely. And, it's not about doing it alone either. Swimrun is often a team sport. You're relying on your partner, communicating, offering support. just like we need each other to navigate the complexities of life.
It's all connected, isn't it? The habits create this foundation of physical and mental well-being, which then allows us to approach life's challenges with that same spirit of adventurousness we see in the swim runner. We're not just trying to survive, we're aiming to thrive.
Exactly. It's about having the energy, the vitality, the open-mindedness to truly embrace the unexpected, to dance with the unknown rather than shy away from it.
You know, it's funny how we tend to equate getting older with, well, getting serious.
Like trading in our sense of adventure for, I don't know, a rocking chair and a cup of herbal tea.
Exactly. But what if the real key to aging well, like we've been talking about, is holding on to that childlike spirit?
That zest for life, that openness to new experiences. It's about approaching everything with a sense of playfulness, curiosity, that willingness to embrace the unknown.
And maybe even laugh along the way when things inevitably go sideways, which, let's be honest, they usually do.
That's life, right? And speaking of which, this quote you pulled from the Retrouver la joie de l'enfance à travers le swimrun source really nails it. The problem is, we look for someone to grow old together, while the secret is to find someone to stay a child with.
Charles Bukowski, always full of wisdom. But it makes you think, right? Instead of searching for someone to simply share our golden years with, what if we focused on finding those who inspire us to stay young at heart? The ones who keep that spark of adventure alive.
It's a subtle but powerful shift in perspective. And it brings us back to Swimrun. Think about those moments of pure joy, plunging into cool water, scrambling over rocks, discovering those hidden coves. There's a sense of freedom there, a feeling of exhilaration that transcends age, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's like experiencing the world through a child's eyes again. And you know what? It just dawned on me that this whole idea of embracing life's uncertainties with a sense of, well, playful curiosity, it ties in beautifully with another one of Nietzsche's concepts, amour fati.
You're right. There's a definite connection there. For those who might not be familiar with the term, amour fati essentially means love of fate.
So it's about accepting, even embracing, the ups and downs of life, the good, the bad, the whole shebang, with a sense of, dare I say it, enthusiasm.
Yes. Not about being passive, but about seeing those challenges as opportunities. Opportunities for growth, for transformation, like Nietzsche believed, finding the meaning in the struggle, not in spite of it.
So are we saying everyone needs to sign up for a swim run now?
Huh. Well, it does sound pretty amazing, doesn't it? But no, it's more about finding your swim run, that activity, that pursuit, that helps you reconnect with that sense of wonder, that reminds you that life is meant to be lived fully, with passion, with a healthy dose of adventure.
It could be anything, really. Starting a new hobby, rekindling an old passion, or even just making a conscious effort to approach each day with a renewed sense of curiosity.
Exactly. It's about finding what sparks that joy, that feeling of aliveness, and weaving it into the fabric of your life.
Well, there you have it, folks. We've journeyed from simple yet powerful health habits to the philosophical depths of Nietzsche, even taken a little detour through the world of Swimrun.
And who knew that those seemingly disparate threads could paint such a vibrant tapestry of insights on living a longer, healthier, and more fulfilling life?
It just goes to show there's always more to discover if we're willing to dive a little deeper. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with this question for you. What small step can you take today to embrace the spirit of that swimrun super kid within you? What can you do right now to move towards a life that's not just longer, but richer, more vibrant, and filled with a deeper sense of purpose and joy? Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and never stop diving deep.